So today we're going to be diving into a hot topic in the financial world, pension consolidation. And I'm doing this video because I put out a note in my community tab about what videos you guys would want to see, and it was a requested topic. So first off, what is pension consolidation? Simply put, it's combining multiple pensions into one. Now, why is this such a big deal? And why is there so much money flying around here? Well, according to Standard Life's Retirement Voices, about 33% of people say pension consolidations makes their savings easy to manage. Of course. So a third of people do find benefit in the simplification of it. But we need to just not jump on the bandwagon. And I want to go over kind of like a real life example about why that can be so problematic, for some of the names changed. So let's meet Steve. Steve is 45, he's changed jobs 3 times, and in his career he's got a workplace pension from his first job about 24 years ago, and that's now got £150,000 now in it. He's got another workplace pension from his second job with £35,000 in it, his current workplace pension, which has got about 50 grand in it, and then a personal pension he started in his 30s when he changed career, and that's got about 15 grand in it. So Steve's thinking, oh man, I've got loads of different pensions in different places, I can't track them, and I want to consider consolidating. But should he do it? Well, let's firstly break down some of the pros and cons here. And some of the benefits are very clear as far as bringing things together. It's simplified management. With one pension, Steve would have everything in one place, no more juggling multiple statements or forgetting about an old pension. You know, and most people appreciate having less paperwork. The last thing we need is more life admin, isn't it? Let's be honest. And I'm sure you probably noticed if you've got a pension providers have a lovely habit of providing a 30-page summary every year through the post on projections and all that, as fairness they're required to do. But it's just a pain, isn't it? Let alone not hugely secure for your data. Another potential benefit is cost savings. You know, some providers offer lower fees for larger pots. So in Steve's example, if his pension charges are 0.5 for balances over say 200,000, but 0.7 for smaller amounts, consolidating could actually save him money. Another consideration is improving the investment choices. You know, Steve's older pensions might have limited investment options, and there might not be options for the right asset allocation when he reviews this. And he might find that the funds he's got available are actually performing significantly worse than other funds at his risk level. And by consolidating to a more modern plan or to a more suitable plan, he might be able to access a much wider range of funds and potentially improve his returns. There also might be better retirement planning options. So for example, some policies just don't have the right features. If you've got an older scheme, because Flexi Access Drawdown, certainly in its modern form, was brought in after 2015, a lot of the older pensions may not have access to be able to flexibly draw down on income, and you may want a retirement where that happens. Another potential consideration is maybe the death benefits might be really simplified. So some schemes, older schemes, might only be able to pay out a lump sum, or for example an annuity, a guaranteed income for life if someone were to pass away. The reason why that can be so problematic is because, well, okay, let's say somebody died after age 75 and had a flexible pot. If the only option is to pay out as a lump sum on death, you could find that when that goes to your chosen beneficiary, instead of having it in a drawdown wrapper where the beneficiary can choose to draw down on income as and when they want, that means that could all be payable as a lump sum. And guess what? All taxable in 1 year. So HMRC are going to take a massive slug of income, as if it was your income, on 200 grand, and you're going to lose up to half of that in tax. So that is far from ideal. So a potential argument would be, with everything in one place, Steve can track his progress towards his retirement goals, understand where he's at in features, and, you know, ideally it's something he can just maybe log in via an app or a platform just to see how he's doing. Okay, this sounds like a no-brainer to consolidate them, doesn't it? And actually, a study from the Pension Policy Institute in 2023 found that the average person has 11 different jobs in their lifetime. That's potentially 11 different pension pots. So when you think about that, it's no wonder why consolidation is becoming more and more popular. But wait, Steve looks a little bit closer at the details, or maybe has advice. And here's the thing. If he hasn't asked the right questions about what's going on with his pension, he might have missed these crucial potential drawbacks, which could really cost him. So, exit fees. So some of Steve's old pensions might charge exit fees. Now, unless you're with a certain advice firm that I'm not going to mention, most providers typically won't have a specific exit fee or early withdrawal fee, whatever you want to call it. But on some setups, and this is often can be the case if it's, for example, with profits funds, these are typical older style funds and pensions. So a with profits scheme is typically an older style pension, and they do work in quite an opaque manner. But what they can do is there can be bonuses that are added, and sometimes what's called a market value reduction or a market value adjustment, where they can apply that in certain circumstances, like if the market's not favorable. This means that there can potentially be a penalty for transferring out, where they'll reduce your transfer value. And sometimes there are also within the rules a market value reduction free date. Typically this is often a normal retirement date or a certain age, and this market value reduction can be less. In fact, I've even seen some older schemes come back at a certain point where the reduction was quoted was tens of thousands of pounds. So not to be ignored to check if something like that applies to your older schemes. There could also be a loss of benefits, which is crucial. Let's say that Steve's second workplace scheme had a guaranteed annuity rate of 8%. So what that is, that 8%, is basically meaning that you can secure that guaranteed rate of 8% for the rest of your life via an annuity, a guaranteed income for life. And that could be significantly higher than current market rates. So according to Hargreaves Lansdown, the average of about 5.5 for a 65-year-old on a level basis in 2023. Now, annuity rates, when they're written properly, of course, depend on health, how you write the annuity, but the principle is that giving up this key benefit could cost Steve thousands in retirement income compared to other options. There could also be things on older schemes like what's called protected tax-free cash or scheme-specific tax-free cash, where the tax-free cash you have is way above 25%, the average. I've seen some at 35% and above. And if that's the case, transferring away that scheme just because it's easy to consolidate could potentially lose that protection and ultimately lead to you paying way more in tax. Quickly, if you find this video useful, please do consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm doing quite a few videos after the budgets on strategies I'm going to be using so that we can kind of manage the budget position and what to consider from a planning perspective. Also, if you do like to stay informed, my newsletter, which is linked at the bottom, gives you access to an ebook, 5 pension tax mistakes to avoid, which I need to update, as well as the tactics I'm going to be using with my own clients, and a retirement scorecard so you can see how on track you might be for retirement. I'm also actually building a cash flow model via Excel that I'll be giving away free to my subscribers. And you can of course unsubscribe anytime if it's not valuable and your data is never shared. So the other side of the same coin, investment performance and costs should be considered, because we need to make sure that if your pension is consolidated, that the funds it can offer that you're consolidating into can match or at least we expect to perform in a similar way or a better way. It could be the case that your costs are way better with your current schemes. So for example, maybe it might be subsidized by your employer. So it could mean that even if you have different schemes, there's a bit of a hassle, it could still be best to leave them where they are. Because while it's a mild inconvenience to have different schemes, if it's better for you on a cost basis, maybe it's better to stick where you are. Another final one is it just might not be possible. So let's say, for example, in the schemes I gave you, that the older pension seems to be the best pension. Now, if Steve tries to consolidate that into one, including his current workplace scheme, the one he's paying into, that sounds fine in theory, doesn't it? But it could be the case that the employer contributions can only go into the one he's currently paying into, and they won't pay into another pension. In fact, I've seen that tends to be more the case than it isn't. So as you can see, there's nuance here, and it's not straightforward as just saying yes or no. And there are some shocking statistics off the back of it as well. The same study from the Pension Policy Institute found that 1 in 4 people have lost track of at least one pension pot, which isn't surprising really. That's billions of potentially unclaimed pensions or undiscovered pensions. And they assume that the value of these lost pensions cumulatively has increased by an astonishing 7 billion in 4 years and is now around 26.6 billion. So what I hope going forward is that there's going to be a lot more flexibility in relation to, and this is kind of where the pot for life theory comes in, which is something that the government is looking to put through. And I'm not going to go into that in this video, but we do need to solve this consolidation issue because it's not really serving anyone very well in my view. Okay, so what could Steve do, or what potentially you could do? Step 1, take stock, list all your pensions, find out their values and features. Pretty simple, right? 2, check for any special benefits. So look for things like guaranteed annuity rates, enhanced tax-free cash, protected retirement ages, things like that. 3, compare costs. Look at both of the costs of the current pension, your potential new pension. I think also as well, I do want to say, it's good to try and reduce costs. I don't think we should be always obsessing over the lowest possible cost at all time if it's going to be hugely inconvenient. Costs really do matter, and we want to keep them down as much as we can because they're a known thing. But no other area of life do we decide to go for the very cheapest food or the very cheapest clothes. We make a decision due to a mixture of factors, and while we try and get value, you don't want something that's 0.02% cheaper if it's going to be a massive pain, if you can never get through to the scheme, if the service standards are terrible, if you can never find your statements and you've got no idea how much you've got. Some practicality does matter here, so costs matter in context. 4, consider obviously the investment options. Does consolidation give you access to a fund which you're comfortable with? And then 5, actually think about your retirement goals, because then you can look at it all in the context of the information you've just gathered. Is consolidating actually making it easier to manage your pension in line with your objectives? So there's quite a lot here, and you can probably tell why as an advisor we do what we do, because there's a lot here, especially if you've ever tried to get through to a pension scheme. God bless my admin. Anyway, I'm obviously going to say this in a self-serving way, but generally, if you can get professional advice, if you can afford it, a really well-experienced qualified advisor is going to be able to help you navigate through the complexities of this and ensuring you make the right choice for your situation. So just to wrap up, look, pension consolidation can be an incredible tool for simplifying your finances, which is what we want, maybe even boosting your retirement savings, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So remember Steve's position? Anyway, after careful consideration and professional advice, what the best decision was here was he consolidated his personal pension and his first workplace scheme into his current workplace scheme. He kept, though, his second workplace pension because of its guaranteed annuity rate, because that was really valuable. So he not only made things simpler, but he also made sure he kept valuable benefits. And what he did when he did off the back of it is that he actually then had a full retirement strategy where he knew what he was going to draw down on what, he simplified his pension management, and he also preserved that really valuable benefit. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, then I think you definitely like this one about the 7 biggest retirement mistakes. A lot of people who watch this, they tend to get caught out by at least 2 of them. Hope you enjoy.